What's going on, Mountaineer fans? Welcome to The Breakdown, where we take a look at App State's upcoming opponent each and every week of the season. Also wanted to send a quick shout out to Brendan Turner. He's a former football player at App, and I saw him wearing this sweatshirt specifically at the homecoming game, and I said I had to have it. For those of you who don't know, this is the chant they do in the locker room after a victory, and this is the back here, as you can see. So I will put his information down below as well if you are interested in this sweatshirt. I guess on sizing, I wear a large, and it's pretty form-fitting for a large. So if you want a little bit of play in the sweatshirt, I would suggest going at least one size larger. And then you just got to be careful when you take care of it. You can't dry it. And there's a couple other instructions, but that comes when he gets you the sweatshirt. You will receive all that information. So if you'd like to have one of these, I think it's an awesome sweatshirt. It's certainly kind of one of a kind. You're not going to find this in any bookstore apparel. So contact Brandon Turner, and he can get you hooked up with one of these bad boys. Probably makes a great Christmas gift for your big App fan in the family. This week, we traveled just south of Montgomery, Alabama, to battle the Trojans of Troy. They come into the contest with a 5-5 overall record, a 3-3 record in Sun Belt play. Their largest losing streak and winning streak is only 2 games apiece. And otherwise, I'd say, they've alternated between wins and losses. And from an outsider's perspective, obviously not a Troy fan, but from anybody who's not a Troy fan, I would say the schedule has kind of gone according to plan. You may be able to say you thought a game or two early in the season might have gone a different way, but most of it has kind of gone how it would look on paper for the rest of us. Their only shocking or surprising loss maybe is to ULM, but I think a lot of people were surprised by them. 3 of their 5 wins came in 1-score games, and the other 2 wins came from FCS team Southern and also Southern Miss, former or future conference member who's only 1-9 on the year. So other than that, they don't have any major victories to really hang their hat on, I'd say. Gunnar Watson took over for Taylor Powell halfway through these 10 games. Let's take a look there and see what kind of looks we can expect from Troy this Saturday.
Watson took over for Powell at the start of the Georgia Southern game. He won his first 2 games and then had expected losses against Coastal Carolina and the Ragin' Cajuns. However, he did throw for a season high of 350 yards in that loss last week to Louisiana. He also threw his first interception of the season, which we'll see later in these clips. And then we can see, takes a big hit in the pocket and still delivers a hell of a throw to get this downfield to his receiver in the end zone. Luckily, he was not well covered to make that play happen pretty well. And we're really not going to see him run a lot. That one looked like more of a design run, so he can do it, but he's definitely not going to beat you a whole lot with his feet. It was a fade route there to get the 2-point conversion in that game. Here's the interception, a little bit behind his receiver, but his receiver didn't help him out much by trying to juggle it, and then made it pretty easy for the guy to just pick it right out of the air there. Then we've got running back Kamani Vidal. He leads the team with 641 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns on the season. He's definitely a back who is not afraid to go up the middle and in between the tackles. But if he does break it outside, he's certainly got the speed to make you pay for that. And we'll see a couple of his runs here. Like I say, he's definitely not afraid to go up the middle. He's not afraid of contact. He probably thrives on it, actually, when he takes hits and just keeps going. It seems to rev him up pretty good. So he's definitely not going to be afraid to get hit and trying to take it straight up the gut of the defense. He will absolutely try and do that. As you can see, you can have him lined up, but he's gonna deliver a body blow just as much as the defensive player is there. Then we've got B.J. Smith. He's chipped in with 333 yards and 3 touchdowns. And if you can already read into that, I had to throw that in there because of Kid Brewer sitting at 3,333 feet. So just a fun little stat there. But this guy is another bowling ball, really. Not the tallest guy, and Vidal's not either. and you can see he's knocking guys' helmets off, delivering blows. Again, he's very similar to Vidal. He's not afraid to go between the tackles and get hard-nosed yardage up the middle. Their outside run game it does exist, but it's not a bread and butter. They seem to be fine letting their guys take the brunts of the hits right up the middle and just telling them, get what you can here. But you can see, especially in this one near the goal line here, Smith breaks it out wide and can certainly make you pay with the speed once he does get out there. But they don't run a lot of a scheme to get out wide often. They will throw to these guys sometimes, and this one here, you can see Jamontez Woods. He actually leads the ground game with 6 touchdowns overall. I expect to see him a lot more towards the red zone, but I mean they'll use him anywhere. He's more of your gadget play type player. He's going to run, he's going to catch. He might even run, a quarterback throw. I mean, I didn't see that specifically, but it wouldn't shock me with how they use this guy. He's kind of like a weapon X for them. Again, he's not going to get all the plays, but when he does, he's going to be electrifying. He's really, really fast, very, very talented back who can certainly catch out of the backfield and, of course, hit you with the speed to get to the end zone, which he's done more than anyone else on the team except for the quarterbacks so far this year. And then here we'll see Tez Johnson. He's actually second in the league right now in reception and leads the team with 4 receiving touchdowns and 635 yards. He is not anything like the South Alabama wide receivers from last week. He's not 6'3", he's not 6'5", he's not 200-plus pounds. He's more of a slot receiver, and you'll see that because one of his favorite routes to run is that shorter route, and he curves back inside to get just inside the defense. And then what he's hoping there is that he's either got some space that he's created for himself, or he can just break to the outside quickly. He's going to run all kinds of routes, but that's kind of his bread and butter, is those short, fast routes where he can really use his speed to get open in the field. And then once he's there, I mean, there's nobody catching him. He is probably, from what I've seen on here, the fastest player on the team. And he's got a great set of hands, as we'll see with this one right in the goal line. They did review it. They ultimately called it a touchdown. It does hit the ground, but to their credit, to the officials' credit, it definitely doesn't move once it's in his hands. So I think they made the right call there. Definitely a vertical threat as well. I mean, if he does just run a go route, he can beat you deep unless you've got a lot of help over the top, which in that play they did not. And then here's Jabri Barber. He doesn't see the ball a lot, but he does make the most of it with 3 touchdowns on the season. Again, another athletic player. And again, he's not going to see a lot of stuff, but when he does, he certainly makes it count, and he's talented enough to hurt you at that. Defensively, Javon Solomon is a wrecking ball. He's 6'2", 246 pounds at the linebacker position. He has 11 sacks on the season. And we'll see here, his size and strength, it just really plays to his advantage. And then obviously, just an athletic guy overall with this one getting tipped into the air. And he's there after it gets kicked, actually, and makes a very acrobatic play for a linebacker to come up with the interception there for that one. And then, if you're not covering this guy, he will make you pay. He's got the speed to beat you around the outside, as you can see here, where he gets to Levi Lewis and takes him to the ground. This defense is definitely not afraid to bring the pressure, bring the blitz, and play very aggressively. That's kind of along the same lines as what we saw with South Alabama, but I would say Troy's better at what they do there with this type of package that they run. And then Richard Jaborner, I'm going to probably mess that up, but he's another defensive lineman, and their D linemen aren't the biggest guys, but he's got 7.5 sacks, and he actually has 2 interceptions as well this year. So just another guy who's going to cause havoc if he can get through that O-line of App State and get back there to the quarterback. These guys are are built just like App State would recruit. They're a little undersized, but they've got the speed to make up for maybe a little bit of lack of power. Carlton Marshall, as you can see with this big pop here against South Carolina, number 2, and KJ Robertson. They definitely lead that linebacker core for Troy. This, in my opinion, this is probably the second best linebacker core that I've seen in the conference, and that's just behind App State themselves. These guys are really, really impressive. Marshall already has, I think, over 100 tackles total this year with the assisted and solo combined. So you're going to notice these guys throughout the run of the game here, just getting back there. Robertson there's number 7. Just really both impressive players, and definitely ones that we're going to try and run away from as much as possible. Although I don't know how you're going to do that with these guys all back there on that just past the defensive lineman. And then Robertson's got the pick 6 here that we're going to see. In the secondary, they'll bring TJ Harris and Kyle Nixon down to provide pressure, but they'll also certainly drop them back into coverage. The pair have combined for 90 total tackles and 2 interceptions so far this year. Nixon here is 22, getting back there quickly once he sees where the play's headed, and making this pretty much a no-gain play. And with his speed, he can get back there in a hurry. Does it just again, almost a very similar looking play here against South Alabama. Again, when you don't block these guys coming off the edges, they will absolutely get to the quarterback, to the running back. You can't afford to sit back there and think about things too long.
I'd say overall this team is just slightly above of maybe where South Alabama was last week. They have a solid running back core. They have a talented wide receiver and a quarterback who's certainly better than the one they started with earlier in the season, and certainly better than the one we saw last week with South Alabama, mainly because he's been around longer, so it probably helps that in that regard. Defensively, they'll certainly bring the pressure throughout the game, and they'll try and force the App offense into uncomfortable situations, uncomfortable looks, bad decisions. I think, though, that App's O-line will be good enough and talented enough to allow Chase to have some time to throw the ball. I also think that the line's going to be able to open up some holes for the running game. I do think we're going to be pretty successful in the running game. I do think we'll probably be more successful in the running game than the passing game in this one. I just think that their secondary is pretty good, and if they can force you into some bad mistakes there, that they will be able to take advantage of that. You certainly can't have a lot of turnovers against a team like this and think you're going to come away with an easy victory. Defensively, I think our linebacking core will have a good day. From what I've seen, I think our 3-4 front will provide just enough of a different look for our guys to kind of take advantage of some things they haven't seen, some pressures that they haven't been able to deal with, and I think we'll be able to get through their O-line. I think the biggest question mark offensively, obviously the quarterback position, but other than that, if we can shut down Tez Johnson, I mean, Johnson is their only wide receiving target. I mean, they do pass to the other guys, obviously, but Johnson's their number 1 guy, and it's by a wide margin. So if you can shut him down, you force them to try and run the ball. I don't know if they're going to have a whole lot of success running the ball against us Saturday. They're certainly going to get some yardage, but I just don't know if they're going to have big gains, big chunks through the ground game like they have had against some other opponents so far this year. So if we can do those things, I expect App to double it up this weekend. I'm going to say App 34, Troy 17. If you're going to the game, travel safe. If you're watching at home, check it out. ESPN Plus, 3:30 Saturday afternoon. As always, go Apps.